Ezra, you've decided you've jumped in. You know, a lot of people are thinking they don't want to tell you who they're supporting. You're supporting Christine Quinn.
Absolutely.
Why?
It was a very, very easy decision to make. When you decide whom to support, always look at their track record. And in this case, you have someone who has been Speaker of the City Council for 8 years. She has demonstrated leadership skills that none of the other candidates have, and I respect all of them, and I personally like Bill Thompson is a mensch par excellence. Bill de Blasio, they're all people that I've worked with over the years. But she has demonstrated true leadership skills. Even her ability to work with Mayor Bloomberg is indicative of good skills, because one of the biggest complaints we get in Washington is that we can't get anything done because the Democrats are on the left, the Republicans are too much on the right, and let's come to a happy medium. Let's compromise and get things going. Let's not get into that conversation. But shows to you that she knows how to get things done in terms of delivering for the community. Every community-based organization, every member of the council, by and large, will tell you that she's been a friend to the community. She's been very supportive in terms of funding, in terms of pushing initiatives that help the Orthodox community, the Frum community. So for me, it's very easy for someone to say, look, let me listen to the candidate who promises the most. For me, that's they went to the school of pandering. When you listen to a candidate who tells you certain things that you like, certain things that you don't like.
So Christine Quinn doesn't tell people what they like to hear. She is just straightforward. She doesn't pander to anyone. Wow. I wish I could meet her, because I hardly know any politicians who don't on some level try to make people happy that they're talking to, depending on the community. I'm sure she talks to people in her community about things that are important to them, and I'm sure she talks in our community about things that are important to our community. Let me ask you a question. One of the reasons that Christine Quinn, and I understand you feel that she has delivered, that's because of the position she has. It's not because of any special leadership. If you are the Speaker of the New York City Council, you're going to deliver. You control things. In fact, people that she doesn't like so much, she literally doesn't, punishes the community that they represent if they don't go along with her. A lot of people call her a dictator. If you don't agree with her, she will punish the elected official and therefore hurt the community. So let me ask you, one of the things you say in the article that you wrote, you say when you choose a mayor, and that's why you chose Christine Quinn, you said, I chose her because she is smart, sensible, stable, strong, and sensitive. By the way, with the Matzitza B'Peh thing, she wasn't so sensitive to our community. She could have shown a little more sensitivity. But be that as it may, you don't feel the other candidates are smart, sensible? You don't feel they're stable? You don't feel Thompson is stable, or de Blasio or Lou are stable?
I think that...
and sensitive? That's what you're saying, that the others are not. She is, therefore I'm with her.
Let me respond to that. First of all, she has shown extraordinary sensitivity to this community.
Really?
On a host of issues. Personally.
So go, tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Over the years, when I approached her on behalf of a community-based organization... What
has she done for this community? Over the years, she has been the Speaker for how long now?
She's been 8 years Speaker.
Okay, 8 years Speaker. I know she provides funding for certain things like the elected officials. She's in a position to... That's wonderful. But
she has made sure, she has personally made sure that organizations have the ability to function. And I'm not just talking about Priority 5 or Priority 7.
Which organizations?
It could be anyone from Council.
No, but how does she decide?
Because when you're in the city, I'll tell you what, when you're in the city council...
No, one second. Let me ask a question. How does she decide? All of our organizations are in desperate need of funding. Most of them don't get funding from the city. How does she decide who to fund? I'm just curious. By the way, this is not a confrontation. I'm just curious. How does she decide who to fund? Does it have to do anything with politics?
I don't think so.
No, for sure not.
I think it has to do with her ability to view the communities and what's important to them. And it could be whether they're building now in Staten Island an assisted living facility by Met Council. Over the years, that funding was in jeopardy. It was her office, it was her staff, it was her perseverance that ensured that assisted living for the community will be built. it pertains to priority 5 or priority 7. Let me just finish.
Yes, sure.
Every council member that services that represents the Jewish community will tell you publicly and privately that she's been a friend, that her office, that her staff has looked out for the interest of this community. It doesn't mean that she hasn't done that on a citywide basis to other communities as well, but it demonstrates character. It demonstrates that she gets it.
And good politics.
Good politics is good policies, and good policies are good politics. But she doesn't pander. Absolutely not. Now, when she became speaker, she understood that her role is to ensure that the entire city council is represented in terms of how she will conduct her tenure as speaker. And over the years, there hasn't been one complaint of any community-based organization that said, "Oh, she hasn't been sensitive. Oh, she hasn't demonstrated attention to. She hasn't allocated resources, attention." She's been there. From the very beginning, I knew her before she became council speaker. When she became council speaker, I had invited her to events. It was before anyone would even think that she's a possible mayoral contender, without fanfare, without publicity. I detected in her a sincere desire to be of help.
I'm happy to hear that,
and to help the community.
But let's
talk
in
terms of the pandering. When a candidate comes into a community and tells you her position, and she tells it to you straight to your face, and you kind of say, I would have phrased it differently. That's what one person may say. But then when she tells you something that you do want to hear, and that's what I write in my op-ed, then that you can take to the bank. That shows true leadership skills.
Okay.
When a candidate comes into
Let's talk about her leadership skills.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, I'm not exactly sure which organization she has helped and not. I'm sure she's helped organizations because that's what she does. She has access to a tremendous amount of money, and part of her role is to be able to distribute those funds to those that are her favorite organizations based on advice she might get, but most groups don't get money. But that's the way it works. I want to ask you a more tachlis, more important question. She played a major role in overturning term limits. We know that. The voters, the people of the city of New York, including myself, I voted. I want a mayor only for 8 years. When Rudy Giuliani was mayor and we had the World Trade Center, the horror that happened on September 11th, people said, let Giuliani continue as mayor. At the end of the day, everyone said no. The rules apply to everyone. After 8 years, and the people voted more than once that the term limits, it should be only 8 years, she, because it was good for her, decided that we were going to extend term limits into a third term, along with the mayor of the city of New York. By the way, Mayor Bloomberg, we basically were told that New York City would disappear if Mayor Bloomberg was not mayor for another 4 years. I wonder how many people in our community feel that way, in particular in our community, because our community has been shafted by this mayor on many issues. And Christine Quinn is his ally and his buddy and his friend. That's what she says. That's what she's running on. That's why the mayor is supporting her. So I want to ask you a question. The real tachlis, giving 50,000 here and 50,000 here, all very nice. I really think it's wonderful. But when it came to vouchers for children, this mayor, when he ran for this third term, came to the community, had meetings. And by the way, I did not support him. And people, were upset. Why aren't you supporting? I supported Thompson. Today, everyone feels differently. But at that time, I remember the mayor came, he went to Hamoudiyah, made all kinds of promises about vouchers, something so fundamental. One of the few things this community gets, okay? He became the mayor, he got reelected, and by the way, surprise, it was so close. No wonder he came to our community. No wonder he came begging and pleading, because he knew that those numbers...
But if you're talking about the vouchers...
let me finish.
It was Christine Quinn that restored the vouchers.
Yes, my question is this. The mayor, wanted to reduce it by 100%. So the city council, along with Christine Quinn, restored a good part of it. My question to you is, if Christine Quinn is such a good buddy of the mayor, has such a great relationship, How come she could not get across to this mayor how critical vouchers were? Why didn't she? I don't remember her making a big stink about it.
She did.
I remember she fought for it like everyone else did.
No.
I mean, the members of the city council, Brad Lander and David Greenfield and others, they all fought for it, right? And every other council member citywide. But I'm asking you, if Christine Quinn, let's talk tachlis here. And by the way, not only did the mayor cut vouchers from the very beginning, he kept on cutting them. And Christine Quinn, you want to say what great buddies they are?
It's not about
marvelous Christine Quinn and the mayor are, what good friends they are.
It's not about.
How come she couldn't say one of the most important programs?
Because part of being an effective council speaker is your ability to get along with the mayor. The mayor is the 600-pound gorilla in the room. The council speaker is the second most powerful position in the city council, but you still need the mayor's cooperation to get anything done. So I can't speak for her, but I can tell you that based on my observations, someone who governs effectively is someone that knows how to get along.
Oh, no,
and I take that as leadership, true leadership skills. So for me, I am convinced that should Christine Quinn become the mayor, those vouchers will be restored to its original number.
Ezra, I like what you.
Now that's original number.
Let
me go further. You cannot blame Christine Quinn for everything that you disagree with Michael Bloomberg. I am telling you that if she didn't have leadership skills, if she decided, look, I will now fight Bloomberg on every single issue, you would not have an effective city council. So the fact that Christine Quinn is able to navigate her relationship with Bloomberg in a friendly and cooperative manner, that has helped the community. Now, just to go back to what you originally said regarding the funding, I don't agree with you that she just threw 50,000 here and 50,000 there, because when you represent, when you, Dov, you know this is better than I do, but when an organization gets funding, if you don't have someone at the city council that navigates the bureaucracy for you and fights City Hall to make sure that you get the funding, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that funding. So she has a very effective operation.
Okay.
She's been very sensitive, and on a citywide basis. Now, I truly believe that should she be the mayor, she will surpass all expectations.
By the way, I just want to say to Ezra, one could say that going along with the mayor as often as she did, and really, the only time she's had disagreements with the mayor is only since she started running for mayor herself. But you could say that's pandering too. You're pandering to the mayor. And by the way, yes, you have to get along with the mayor. We understand that. But there is a time to stand up, and people will respect you. Even the mayor will respect you. But a good part of your article, and I want you to explain this to me and to the audience. You spend a lot of the article talking about that people should separate the Torah values, right? You literally half the article or more in your support of Christine Quinn. Obviously, you're talking about don't look at Christine Quinn in terms of your Torah values, separate that in terms of the political content. What are you Can I ask you, what are you talking about? By the way, I'll go along with you. I could understand this. I'll tell you why. Because almost all the candidates are very similar.
That's my point. That's exactly my point.
But you're making this whole. But why are you arguing this as a reason to support Christine Quinn? That's what I don't get. That's what you're saying here. I found it very. Once we mix religion and politics, what are you talking about? By the way, I'm against gay marriage. Would you vote for gay marriage, by the way, Ezra, personally, or you don't want to answer that? Would you vote? Would you separate your personal feelings from your religious feelings?
When we say hamavdil ben kodesh l'chayil,
explain what that means. Okay.
You're separating holy to mundane, and we need to internalize in the community that message. Our continuity is a Masorah that we as parents, Rabbanim, convey to our children. And we teach our children who are their role models. It's Rabbanim, people that you look up to. We should also teach them that elected officials aren't necessarily role models. Doesn't mean that you cannot respect them, but it means that you have to have a different criteria. on how you give
What does that
someone
have
respect.
to do with Christine Quinn? That's
It
what I'm
has to
asking
do-
you.
it has to
what does that
do-
do with Christine Quinn?
Because
And you can say that about all the candidates.
Exactly, and I refer. I wrote about my op-ed was geared exclusively to talking about Christine Quinn. I didn't want to mention any other candidates
but-
in the op-ed, but that goes across the board. None of the candidates running for mayor on the social issues have any daylight between them. So put away.
I agree with you.
So put away that whole all the social issues should not be a factor in who you decide to support for mayor, because all of the major candidates who have a reasonable chance of becoming mayor all agree on those issues. But to the extent that you need to talk about those issues is because that has become a very contentious issue over the last few years in this community. So we have to stand up and we have to put a line in the sand and convey that what should determine your vote is how will that mayor conduct their tenure in office based on the city charter, nothing else.
So if people in this community, just for argument's sake, let's look at a Republican. The Republican candidates are not on the social issues, are not quite as liberal as the Democratic
I believe
candidates.
they are. I believe they are.
Not quite as liberal. You
know what?
You got to. There are differences.
Those that have a reasonable shot at becoming the mayor.
You think people are going to vote for Delgado on the Democratic line?
I don't think so.
Of course not.
Exactly.
Because people will vote for one of these candidates.
My point is, you just said that you feel a Democrat will be the next
Exactly.
mayor.
Regardless of the social issue.
That's my point. In the same vein, how we interact with those in secular society, whether it's a lawyer or a doctor, we don't base it on personal lifestyle. We don't base it on how that person interacts with other people in their personal lifestyle. The same way, we should look at an elected official. How will they serve the public in their public capacity? And years ago, that was the defining factor. We never, ever allowed someone's personal life to determine how we vote.
Okay, fine. What we're going to do is, Ezra, thank you. We're going to give you the number. You have a chance to speak to Ezra, or tell us who you are going to support. By the way, right now, Christine Quinn is sinking in the polls. I mean, she's been going down continuously. The last poll, and it's already a week or two old, she was at 24. The person with 19% in that poll was Wiener, and then some of the other candidates had 11, whatever it is, very early. And by the way, about 30%, 35% who hadn't made up their mind. So we will be taking your phone calls after the break, 347-985-1080, 347-985-1080, 347-985-1080. I think the headline tonight, though, so far, is Christine Quinn does not pander. I think everybody can get a good laugh, I think. I mean, I'm not saying to say that she doesn't pander, everybody else does.
Dov, look at the record. You have a candidate that comes into the community. They put on a big black yarmulke. They start speaking Yiddish and Hebrew. They tell you everything you want to hear.
That's called pandering?
That's called pandering. That candidate does not display leadership. That candidate does not display.
Putting on a yarmulke does not display. Right.
No, but it goes further than that. It's insulting to the community.
To do what?
When you have a candidate that tells you exactly what you want to hear, that goes to the next
community.
Who
does that?
All the candidates.
Ezra,
by and large.
Tell me one.
I will not
tell
name
me
names.
one who does.
Follow the candidates around, and you will see that every single one of them tells you exactly what you want to hear. Quinn has a message for the city that resonates with everyone by and large.
I hear you. Anyway, 347-9